Welcome to the Ascended Thread podcast. I'm Andrea Clem, owner of The Way Home to You.
And I'm Dana Swaza with One Thread Healing. And we have our guest speaker today, Gayle Fowler. And a lot of us know her in the spiritual community. A lot of us have taken classes with her and have attended her events or, been to her store. And she has an MBA in CRMT. And Gayle was born and raised in Hawaii and had many encounters with the people of the forest and Sasquatch since 2015. And she had her first physical sighting in 2017 on the Navajo Reservation in the mountains between New Mexico and Arizona. And she has since had experiences in Washington, Arkansas, and Colorado. She is an urban shaman, certified master teacher in Reiki and Featherway, an empath, a medical intuitive, and channeler. She found at an early age that she had the ability to ease the pain of loved ones, both physically and emotionally. And she also had the ability to sense spirit, vibrational energy, and feel others' emotions. It wasn't until she completed her Reiki certifications in Colorado that she accepted her role as a healer. I think, like a lot of us, she had her corporate jobs and then just like really stepped into all those gifts, knowing she had them for a long time. And she has the gift of seeing past lives, sharing messages from guides, and connecting ones with their shamanic guides. She works with bear medicine and other indigenous. I can never say that word, so I apologize. I can say it like perfectly in my head, and then my tongue gets tied. Medicines to help people to heal their emotional, mental, spiritual bodies to help heal their physical bodies. So Gail has a lot of gifts.
Yes. So, wow, where do we begin?
I know. I know. She has a
I
lot of
would say
gifts.
it's just me, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right,
I'm still a normal person, work a muggle jog during the day.
right,
Uh,
right. So, do you want to start speaking into what the forest people are, Gail, to
sure.
help people
So, I mean,
understand?
they've known many, by many names. We got the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, hairy person, people of the forest, all these different names. Um, I remember when I was younger that I always believed in them, but they didn't really talk about Bigfoot in Hawaii. Um, but I always had a feeling that they were real, partly because in Hawaii too, there's um, a lot of things going on there.
Mhm.
um, and many of us, rather than saying, "Oh no, that's not real," we all experience things for ourselves. So whether it be the Hawaiian deities or the energies, the mana of the land, all of those stuff, it was just something we accepted. But it was, let me see, we went to a Star Knowledge conference in Estes Park. And that's where meaning there was myself and then Garrett Duncan, and there was a couple other people. But Garrett had met this person named Kiwoni Lapsaritis. I think I pronounced it correctly. But he was the one who introduced the Sasquatch to our little metaphysical community.
Mhm.
And we started connecting on the spiritual level, which I was amazed. I'm like, whoa, we can do this. Um,
Yeah.
so I was able to, we started feeling their presence or starting to see them in the spiritual realm. And sometimes we were hearing physical sounds where our offices were, you're like, okay, what was that? So we got pretty accustomed to working with them on the spiritual realm. And then we went and took a trip to New Mexico to Garrett Duncan's family, they're Navajo. And so they have a place they call sheep camp, which is where they take the sheep and, cattle up in the mountains. And while we were there, that was when I actually had my first physical sighting. Now, the interesting part about that is, I think it was the second night we were there. we call it offering. So we had corn and fruits and Reese's peanut butter cups, you know. So we're gonna go and we pick it up to this big tree stump because I thought, "Oh, it's a perfect spot. We'll do that." So as I think it was either a new moon or full moon, one of the two. And Garrett goes, "Oh, nobody bring their flashlights." Well, I'm a city girl, and there were some cow patties around. So I was like, you know, but so I'm just trying to watch. And so I'm holding the corn and we're watching. All of a sudden we got to the bottom of this slight incline, this little hill area. And then we heard these hoots and calls and coyote sounds. And I mean, it was loud, and there were multiple beings making these noises. So I was thinking, I said, Garrett, did somebody or come out of ceremony and we're just kind of hearing it, although it sounded close? He goes, no, there's nobody else here. And I said, okay. He goes, it's them. And I said, them who? He goes, it's the Sasquatch. And immediately, I think there were maybe 8 or 9 of us. Immediately, for me, I felt this wave of heat and my legs kind of locked up. So he's like, okay, everybody, stay in your heart space, stay in your heart space. But it felt like a welcoming sound. And there were so many because you hear it like this side and that side. And that was my first, I guess you can say physical, because I heard it with my ears, right? And then Gary goes, okay, go up the hill and put your offerings on the stump. And we're all like, I don't want to go by myself. So he goes, okay, you guys can go 2 at a time. So that was like amazing because my analytical brain is trying to figure out, wow, I mean, I in my heart, it feels, yeah, that was them. But my logical brain going, was it them? I don't know. But so I was still in that in between, yet I had been working with them on the spirit realm for almost over a year. But for somehow my brain was like, oh yeah, but that's the spirit realm, totally different. It's like, okay. So I think it was like the last day before we were going to leave. Garrett had told us about his grandfather had built a sweat lodge down by this little pond. So we're on like a logging road. And so my biggest thing was, oh, I want to see that. So I'm looking, and I think Garrett and this other person was behind me. People are within at least 10 to 15 feet from me, okay? And there were, I think that time, 8 people. So I'm looking for it, and then I stop. And I see this very tall thing from the back, but beautiful, glossy, shiny black hair, but all through the whole body. And I'm like reaching to the back, Garrett, try to get in touch with him. I don't stutter, but that time I stuttered, and I kept trying to get in touch with him. So then I turned around and I said, look, and it was gone. He goes, what did you see? And I said, I don't know what I saw. He goes, you know what you saw? I said, a raven, maybe another person. Because there are no other people here. They're like, Gail, you know what you saw. So I explained to them, but it didn't look like Patty in the Protestant Gimlin or any other Bigfoot I saw on TV thing. So I was like, I don't know what I saw. So I went home, and then I'm like telling my husband and my boys, and they're like, Mom, we know you wouldn't lie, but that's kind of a far-fetched. I said, you're telling me. I don't even know what I saw. So that was my first encounter, which was kind of like, I don't know. And why didn't everybody else see it? Darn it. Like you all were on me. Um, so some people have asked me in the past, like, oh, how do you call them to you? Or how do you end up seeing them? I said, I have no clue. It's kind of like I go somewhere and then I think it's about honoring the land or thanking the ancestors for allowing us to be there. And so I think it's more the heart-centered portion of it that kind of draws them forward. So I've had many experiences in different places. And I've seen them in the shadows or, like not where they're coming to me. Cause I think if they just pop out of the forest, I might hit, hightail it to the hills. I'll be running away and then come back going, sorry, knee-jerk reaction. But it is a beautiful connection as we started working with them. it's a lot of emotions. You feel the sense of love, curiosity. Um, they're also pranksters too, so it's a great feeling. But then I know a lot of people who are really trying to just prove they exist, right? So that's what they're going for, and they go out and try to get the evidence, and sometimes they find something, sometimes they don't. And so people say, well, how do you get your evidence? I said, I really don't go looking for the evidence. It kind of just happens. So I did have a camera and my phone in my pockets when that encounter on the Navajo Reservation occurred. But I wasn't even thinking about anything like that.
Mhm.
So, we
Which
went
might
to,
be why they actually showed up for you,
I
right?
think so,
Yeah,
yeah. And
exactly. Yeah.
like I said, I wasn't looking. I was looking for the sweat lodge.
Right,
Uh,
right.
So the next major encounter took place in Chihuahua, Washington. It was like a summer camp. So we had all these different peoples, but they had a big open amphitheater, outdoor amphitheater. But where we were staying, it was I think it's where like the teachers or the people who can a little bit more decent beds. So we were there. And friends from Australia had joined, and they wanted to stay out in tents. I was like, oh no, I'm getting a bed. But anyway, while we're there, there happened to be like four of us, and it was maybe 1 in the morning because we got there. We had to set up, and you had to go into town to eat before because the town's going to close. All of these things. So it happened to be really late. So we were talking, and just so happened I noticed we were facing the four directions. What is it looked like it? I don't know. I'm in a forest. I have no idea where I am. And then we started talking about, oh, which way is east? And I was like, I have no idea. I'm in a place I don't know. I grew up in an island. Please don't ask me north, south, east, west. But we were talking about it. I said, doesn't the sun rise in the east? And then my friend from Australia goes, not in Australia. Then I happened to look because I was facing the forest, so he was facing me. And I look up, and it looked like a motorcycle headlight. It was like whitish, silverish. And I'm going, is there a road back there? He goes, there's no road back there. Then I look again, I'm like, okay, now there's two of it. But they were big, and it's not like, oh, little, like an owl in a tree. It's pretty big. And then I saw some other, they call it eye shine, like lower. I mean, I never seen eye shine before. And I'm going, Dad, I don't think we're alone. And so I started hearing questions, and I felt it was a female presence. I mean, because that stuff is normal for me, right? So, and then asked me if I was male or female because it was like super cold, so we're all bundled up in the blankets. And me being me, I'm going grab open my blankets, female, and that's all you get. So it's, I guess that's also my craziness, my funness. But I'm like, didn't you guys hear? They're like, hear what? I said, aren't you hear her? Don't you hear her talking? They're like, no. And I'm going, okay. They go, well, you're hearing her. You talk to them on a spiritual level. I said, yeah, but she's right there. They go, how do you know she's a she? I said, feels like it. And when I looked, I could see her outline, and I could see the eyes. And let me tell you, they're a lot taller and bigger in Washington State because she was probably maybe 15 feet. And I'm just going by like the height of the trees. And so she started asking some questions. And one thing she had asked was, please continue to talk because she was finding it fascinating what we're talking about. Well, we're all human. What do we all do? Turn around, face the forest, and stop talking. But then it was just this connection. And I was just baffled, going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then another three other people came to join us. Now, these people are more experts. Um, so they said, well, we saw there was a Sasquatch walking this way, so we came this way. I said, look, he's there. And so as we're talking, there was another set of eyes. probably like maybe 3 feet above where her eyes were. And it was almost above the treetops. And it looked like it's almost like it was looking at us from the side, like I'm walking this way. So it's like they're really big here. So it was amazing, and my friend Kaji, the one from Australia, he goes, "Do you want to go in?" And I said, "No, I kind of want to hang out here." He goes, "No, do you want to go into the forest?" I'm not joking, guys. My legs locked. This fear just raved through. I said, "Fine." I said, "I know that I can feel the heart, the love and all that stuff, but I'm sorry, this little person was not ready to go."
Wow.
So none of the situations that I've experienced really was that it was set up. Although when we went to Washington State, it was for a psychic Sasquatch retreat or something like that. I forgot the name of it. So yes, they were supposed to be there, but I had no idea that I would have this connection. And to a group in general, I think they had 3 or 4 events that I had gone to, and there were more interactions, more people were experiencing. And the last one that I went to, I think it was the year after my experience, there were a lot of ships up in the sky because there's no light pollution. You're in the mountains, right? And so I'm like, oh, my neck is hurting. And so I just kind of stopped and I was going, I'm going to try this. So in my mind, I'm saying, if you were here, the one that I met last year, I'd love to see you. Now, we're not in the same spot that I saw her. And lo and behold, the eyes came out and I could see her outline. And then my friend Kaji and his wife were next to me. And I looked at him. He goes, I see her, sister. And then
Wow.
I started asking her questions. So I feel so blessed that I've had those opportunities. Do I
Right.
want to tell people exactly where it is so they can go look? No. It's like keeping it sacred, but
Right.
oh, she came. And again, my friend Kaji's like, why are you surprised? I said, I just, and she showed up. He goes, and I said, okay, I'm still in the not so sure thing. But
Why,
recently,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, Gail. Can I ask a question real
Mhm.
quick? Why do you think they're trying to connect with us? Like, what do you think are they trying to help humanity with ascension? Are they trying to help Gaia with ascension? Or why do you think they're connecting? What do you think their purpose is? Or to remind us that to be in harmony with nature? I don't know. I'm just curious what you think.
So, I mean, there's different people who have received different messages, but what I kept seeing and receiving was they want to reconnect with us and also help us like be our teachers and also to learn from us. And then I keep seeing these visions or like something shows up as like a movie that shows a mural of how the Sasquatch and the indigenous people worked closely together. So I really feel they're here to help us, to work with us and to learn from us.
Mhm.
And then, part of it could be, yeah, you need to be take care of the land, be, much more, all of those things. I'm sure they're there, but sometimes they show up in places you're like, what are you doing in this RV? You're shaking the whole thing. So a lot of times I don't think I'm even present enough to say, hey, what are you doing here? What can I help you with? I'm all like, you know, but the
No,
more
I
I
understand.
connect, I feel that that's really what it's about. So they're trying to establish a connection. And
Mhm.
I call my encounters, they're trying to desensitize me so that I don't take off for the hills when they do fully step forward. Um,
Mhm.
People say, you wouldn't run. I says, I don't know. Because, you never know. But I have encountered, so most of the times I see them, I see like that whitish silver color, and which I think is their calm state. Some
Mhm.
people say they see the red or red orange eyes. I did see that. We stopped off a friend's place in Anacortes before we went to the conference. And where they live, there's no street lights and things. So they said, well, let's go out in this tree area. It's like a natural pathway. So we're all over there. And then I'm seeing these red eyes. Oh, well, it definitely looks like red eyes and they're very tall. And I'm going, I don't feel comfortable. I feel kind of like they're checking us out they're protecting the area type of thing. So I was like, it didn't feel as open as the other one. And I was like, yeah, guys, I don't know if we're supposed to be here because the emotions that I was feeling was not as welcoming. And they said, oh no, that's okay. I said, but their eyes are red or orange, what's going on? And then but I felt that it was more protection of their space and we are in their space. So I was ready to go back in. I was like, I'm done. But we sang some songs, and then I felt that that negative piece of it or protective piece kind of toned down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they left, and then we went inside. But I was like, thank God we had at least 5 guys around because I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to be around here. So, it could be a negative or a positive experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it really goes into how you handle it, right?
Right. And it's probably a good reminder that when you are going into their space to ask permission and, just ask permission and I want to honor you, come from the heart and I want to honor you and I want to connect with you. May I enter your space, kind of something along those lines. Yeah.
And that's what I do on a regular basis, because you
Right.
think about it, the forest area, that's their home.
Right.
You wouldn't like it if somebody just walked in your yard or came into your house. You're like, whoa, back off, people. Like I got my kids, my family here. Don't be coming in here. So, but that's also what we're taught anyway. And whether there's a portal or energy fields that are coming in, I always ask permission or I always thank the land or the ancestors of the area. Thank you for allowing me to step forward and to be in this space.
Right.
So we've had some definitely interesting experiences. And I actually do have a couple pictures of them,
Oh,
which
great.
that I'm not the type to do. And I also have a recording of it sounds like coyote, but it doesn't really sound like coyotes. So I've had those and they're just recently, and I think the reason why I've been able to get those, I think, is to help others to know that, hey guys, they're there. I didn't say, hey, pose for me, right? Nothing. It was more, the first picture I got was I just heard go into this open area in Arkansas and just take pictures. I'm going, whatever, I'll go do that. So I just took pictures and we didn't even look at the pictures till like 2 weeks later. And in one of them, I'm going, what's that? Like so I can zoom in. And so I think it was the last picture that I took. And then the most recent one, which ties into going to about my retreat, we were at the Glen Isle Resort in Bailey, Colorado, and my friend Danny was sitting on this bed that the windows behind her, and I was kind of beat, I was tired, but we were playing with the oracle cards, and they were asking us to come into their cabin because the lights had flickered the night before, So we're like, okay, fine, so let's check it out. And then Danny goes, Gayle, take a picture. And she goes, there's something behind me. And I'm like, I'm tired and whining. I'm like, fine. So I took a picture. I said, I don't see anything. So I gave her of course, gave her my phone. She goes and zooms in, is where she felt. There was a peeping Tom, a Sasquatch peeping Tom. And the only way we really saw it clear was adjusting the contrast. So I have been fortunate to find the Glen Isle Resort in Bailey, and so I mean, it's beautiful, and it's an old buildings and things like that. So there's a lot of other energy there, but um, I'm having my third teachings of the Forest People retreat, May 21st to the 24th at the Glen Isle Resort, and there we're trying to it's more like we're not trying to prove they're here. We're trying to help you connect with them, and have your own experiences, but also teach maybe proper protocol or, like what you should do and what not to do, helping people open up their intuition so they can experience a little more. But every time we've gone there, and I also have my healers retreat there, but every time we've gone there, we have something happen. So that's
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah.
And again, we are not planning these things, it just happens.
Right, right.
So
So if people want more information on your upcoming retreat. Can you share what the link is? And we'll also put it in the comments
Yep,
section so
it's
that
on my website. So it's GeafGifts.com. And if you look for the tab that calls, it says Sasquatch Retreat. And then you'll see, I figured it's easier to spell Sasquatch Retreat than Teachings of the Forest
right.
Group, you know.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, that'll give you, and it also provides a program. So we're there Thursday night and we'll do our little meet and greet and some exercises to also work with your intuition, get you prepared for the weekend. And then Friday is going to be more of the what I call the woo-woo stuff. I'll also even lead people in connecting with their guides. My friend Garrett Duncan will be doing presenting because he received healing words from them. And so we teach that, and there's some tools that we received. They taught us about, so we're sharing those. And then my friend Mary Lloyd, who's more on, she's a medium, and I mean she's gifted like us, but
Right.
she's also very scientific. So she's got all her high-end tools, you know. So
Oh, that's
she
cool.
she walks that path between like the 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 very I need the proof to I don't need the proof because I can feel them. So
Right.
we're going to talk about those things. And then on Saturday, I have two groups of guest speakers. So one of them will be Jim Meyer, who is the owner of Sasquatch Outposts in Bailey, Colorado. And he has a lot of experiences. And he's more, the scientific side. And he'll take people out there. But he's coming to our side because he is, we met up with him and through one of our, I don't know what we are doing, I think a meditation or something. He received a message that they said, "You're going to be doing this." And he came back to me because I don't know what to do. I said, neither did I. You kind of just go with it. So he's now into, I want to find more about it. But he has some experiences and I think he's going to show or share a clip where when he was out and about, I don't know if it's with a group that he takes up, he has them singing.
Oh,
Mhm.
I am so excited to hear that.
yeah, yeah,
And then the
that's
second
exciting.
presenter is going to be a group, but his name is Ron Meyer, not related with the John. But anyway, he and his son-in-law Alan, what was his last name? Alan Mig McGargle. They're going to be presenting. They did a documentary or short movie, whatever you want to say. Um, a place right before you get into the Bailey, the town. And he had asked us to me and my friend Danny. I dragged her along because we just came from the Gem and Mineral show. It's like, come on, Danny, let's go. So we ended up going, and we had a lot of encounters that they captured stuff there. So
Right.
they're going to be showing that movie to the group, and then we're going to go and take a little trip to the location. So
I
that's a little
know.
change from what we've
I'm
done
so
before.
bummed because I wanted to attend that because it did sound like you had a lot of like really cool stuff for it planned for the weekend. But I'll just be coming back from Italy, so
Well, don't worry about it. We'll probably take groups up there too later on, but
right.
um, it's just again, we're going to somebody else's house type of thing. So be
Hmm.
respectful, and know the boundaries. And so protocol is part of what I'll be teaching because for me, we're getting together, and I really want people to stay in their heart space and to not try to force the connection, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Hmm.
More like just allow it. So that's why I said when people say, "How do you connect?" I said, "I don't know. It kind of just happens."
Mhm.
And I mean, I have a lot of stories to share, but we don't have that much time. But
Right.
knowing that I am an analytical person as well, I needed some validation.
Hmm.
And now it's like, okay, Gail, now what you're gonna do with that?
Right. I had an experience when I wasn't wanting it or trying to get it. I was just reading the book, the Sasquatch Book to Humanity, or is
Mhm.
that what it's called? And it was so funny because I was reading it and all of a sudden I heard like a thump on my roof. And right after that, the next sentence I read was, "We might show up like a thump on your roof," or and some other things. And I was like, Okay. And then I heard that from the thump on the roof, I heard like, something large crash down outside my window, and I was like, okay, and so I was like, oh, thanks, because, I wasn't even expecting to have a connection. And then the next day's when I heard a ship, at the lake I walk around, I heard a ship and
Mhm.
I was looking around at everyone like, do you hear that? Like what you did. I'm like, did you hear that? Like, why aren't people reacting? Because I can clearly, because it was a sound I can't even describe. It was like I can't even explain it, but very boomerangy sound. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, very loud, but yet like a boomerang sound. So I knew it was something. And the fact that it was indescribable, I knew it was like probably a ship. So,
But I think that's why it helps us who are intuitive or who are sensitives, because I think that's what they refer to Danny and I. We're sensitives in the
mhm.
movie.
Right,
But because we're a little bit more open to other things, right?
right.
And in the movie, what you'll find is that, well, it's kind of a different sequence of events, but we really didn't have a lot more activity until we did the here we're going to offer you, like a thank you, and then we did a couple toning, and I did some singing, and so one of the people, Ron's daughter and Alan's wife, she came with her camera and followed us, and she's going, "Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing?" And it was the same thing with the eye, but you can see the outline. Felt masculine, and he was standing there, and it was amazing. But after we did our pieces, then her husband was up where we were sitting, and he was looking down. He said he looked to the right of us, and he saw something stand up.
Mm,
Then he was like, "Oh, I didn't record it." I said, "Maybe you weren't supposed to."
right.
But the activity started to pick up once we did our, like thanking them and allowing us to be here, all of that stuff. So if somebody said, "Well, what do you think the recipe would be?" I said, go in with your heart, wide open, and try not to force to look for them, because they'll come.
Hmm.
They'll come look, and it's not always looking down for footprints. You also can look up and you'll see things. And there's different, I want to call them markers in the foreset area. So if you see that, that's more like a validation that they're here. And one of them that's really interesting is, which I don't know what it stands for yet, but there's an arch. They'll have a little tree or a sapling or something, and it creates an arch. And then sometimes you look up in the big trees and they'll take the bigger branches and it becomes an arch. So the arch themselves are not natural. There's no way, it's like, okay, I don't know
Yeah,
why but those are signs. So that's another thing that we're going to talk about. But I'm not saying, okay, guys, go out with all your equipment and go find them, because you're probably going to come back with nothing,
right, right.
you know?
Yeah, just be
So,
in your heart. And if you have an experience, great. If you don't, that's fine. And maybe you will, and be, it'll be at another level maybe. And so then
mhm.
you'll have the experience later, Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you were the only one who you sent me that picture when you went to Mount Shasta, and
Hmm.
everybody else says, no, I didn't feel it. And you sent me the picture. I'm like, oh yeah, Dana, you caught that. You knew. But I
Right.
think you were more open to it as well, right? So,
Hmm.
but they don't always show up for everybody, which just baffles me. I'm like, hey, we're a big group. How come me? And I think I even asked that question to my friends from Australia. I'm like, why me? They work with um it's they call them, the ones that they work with are not the Dooliga is what, and they have different footprints. They look like almost like orangutan footprints, where they have like the big toe and then the fingers. I mean, they're and it doesn't look like a foot. It looks like more of like a
Right.
hand.
Oh,
And I said,
cool.
you guys work with them all the time, And he goes, no, it's not that. He goes, it's just you were able to do, I guess this connection. But I said, well, what do you need to teach me? He goes, nothing. I'm like, come on, you guys are all experienced. So I think that's what it is. Each individual will experience things differently. They
Hmm.
may not see it with their eyes, or maybe they'll have these little, uh, like little signs here and there. One thing that they do when they do connect with you, you'll receive gifts.
Mm,
And I can't tell you what you'll receive, but you'll know that it's not ordinary.
right. Well, I
Our
know
friend,
some of you've been gifted like hairs, and I felt those, if you put it in your hand, it's like, wow, you can feel the vibration of it. So,
yeah, I call it like it's like a tingling, but everyone may
yeah.
sense it differently. But
Uh-huh.
like our friend Carissa, she had these, I think it was mourning dove feathers. It's like,
Mm.
oh, sad, just get, but it was in a nicely formed pile,
Oh, nice.
very nicely arranged. And then on our other friend Susan, she had found this rock in a driveway, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta go." So she put it somewhere else. She came back, and then she found another one. So she brought it to our little healing, our healing center, and I was playing with them, and then I grabbed the two pieces. They're not the same type of rock, but they fit into a heart shape.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, that is so cool. So be open. Well, I like to consider them more like elementals. Like
Right,
they're part of the
exactly.
land. They're the shepherds of the land. Some people may say, well, I thought they came from the stars, and there's also the theory behind that as well.
Mhm.
They may be moving around through portals. So those who have seen them, maybe like they'll walk by a tree, and then you don't see them again. But maybe the portal it was by the tree.
Right.
And for most people, they're like, "What are you talking about? It seems so weird." It says, I know, I think it's weird, but you see them, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? So I'm not the type to force people to say you need to believe in them. I'm like, well, I do, and I, see them more as my guides. Um, and then they have physical forms too. I'm a lot more comfortable when they're in the spiritual level.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the retreat that we're doing, and this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Estes Park has an event called Bigfoot Days Festival. And I've always heard it, but I never went to it. And they are more on the proof side, the scientific side of things.
Mm.
So Ron's going to be premiering or doing a screening of his movie because he has the woo side and he's got the scientific side. So we're gonna go up there to do some Q&A after the movie. But really, it's about if you're thinking, well, I don't really go to the forest, so I can't have an encounter. If they want to contact you, they'll come and show up. They'll
Right.
be in your office space. They'll be in your, in healing spaces. They're there a lot too.
Hmm.
But you can also set your boundaries. Says, okay, this is my bedroom. Can you not wake me up because I need my sleep? Things like that. But they're like humans. We have the good ones and we have the bad ones, right? So there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. But no, and this is what I also teach the kids, not just with the Sasquatch. We have the ability to say, I do not wish to contact you. You cannot, you need to leave type of thing because we have the universal law of free will on our side.
Right.
And sometimes they're not ready, and that's okay. Because something
Right.
that I might say, oh, that was so beautiful. They're like, oh no, it was so scary. Something stinky came in, and then all of a sudden everything's hanging, all of these things. You'll get that slowly. They'll start to interact to where you can feel a little better. And then, if you want to try to desensitize yourself or to learn more, you can watch this so many different ways. Like I watch YouTube and there's some of them you're like, oh my God, that's so fake. That's not real. But then others you're like, oh, that feels right here. So you can learn more about it. And, you don't have to be the more like for us, we're intuitive, we're gifted to connect with them, but a lot of times they connect with you. I mean, then you're like, I didn't know I had this gift. So many different ways. So they're like our teachers. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yeah, it
Mhm.
totally makes sense.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I know you're on your lunch break, so I want to respect your time. So, but if people wanted to connect with you more, how can they connect with you more? What Facebook page do you have to?
So I have a Facebook page. It's under gift gifts. Oh, let me see one of my Facebook pages. Let me look that up. But you know it, but then when you ask me the question, I'm like, I don't know.
I know, sorry.
Yeah. And we will make sure to put all the information in the
Right.
description in the comments and stuff so you guys can reach out to Gail and learn more about her too. But go ahead, Gail.
Okay, so it's GIF GIFTS info INFO, all one word. That is my Facebook page that you'll see a lot of my classes and other event things. But I also have another page called the Sacred Way, the Sacred Way events, and that's where I post my events like the Sasquatch our little retreats or some major classes and things like that. And then I'll also post my healers retreat. But it's really get out there and just experience.
Right.
A lot of people that I know, they want to grow in their gifts so much, but all they're doing is they're reading and they're taking all of these classes, which are great, but apply it. Or better yet, don't even go to any of them and just go out there
Right.
and see what happens.
Right.
Connecting with, Mother Nature and Mama Earth is always a good thing.
Yeah.
And carrying love in your heart, that's the key thing. And no judgment. And then, if you get scared, guess what? You're human. It's that fight or flight thing, it's okay. But it's almost like when I deal with some spirits and things, it's like, okay, are they good spirits or they're bad spirits? Just because they're in the shadows doesn't mean that they're bad. A lot of times they're holding guilt with whatever they did when they walked the earth type of thing. So, trust your instincts. If you feel like it says leave, you leave.
Right.
But if you feel like saying, may I enter? Or thank you for allowing me to be here. May I enter? Then you can do that. You don't have to leave food or anything, because sometimes it's better to leave no trace, you know? But wherever you go that you love to go, they're probably there. You just don't realize it, you
Right.
know? And then if you're saying that I'm ready, are you really ready?
Right.
And little by little, if you carry it in your heart and you know that they're there, maybe saying, is there something that you want me to know? Or is there something that I could learn from you? That connection can come forward. And so it's really, we had them, my guide was in the church, in the Lutheran church. My guide was there, like, kind of like being a bouncer for a portal, and it was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me tell the church elders about this.
Right.
But he ended up disappearing one day, and I was so sad. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then next thing I know, he was in my office. So he stays with me. He's my bouncer, is what I say.
Okay.
Yep. And so he helps to make sure that no negative things enters. It helped me with working with clients and things like that. So I see them more as my guides, partners with me on these things. So I treat it, but it's more because when I start seeing the physical evidence, I was like, okay, now I got to get into that area that what happens when they show up? I guess I have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. I love this. You have so many unique experiences. So, thank you for sharing just the
Yeah.
one you did with us today, because they're so cool and it makes me want to attend the retreat as well. So, everybody that's listening, make sure to check out the information in our comments. Also, make sure to like and subscribe.
Right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being our guest today.
Well,
It
thank
was
you for
it
having
was
me.
a
This
very
is
fun conversation. So
Yeah, very
yeah,
much.
thank you.
when I get asked to talk about the Sasquatch, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to share what I've experienced.
Right, exactly.
Somebody said, you're a Sasquatch expert. I said, I am not. I'm an expert and I'm still learning. So,
Yeah,
Yes.
well,
so
thank you.
cool.
Well, thank you. And we will put in the comments again what all the links you can connect to connect
Yeah,
with
and
Gail
there's
if
more
you
to
want
come
to,
as
or
well.
if you want to attend the retreat or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
she has lots of classes, all different
Yes.
stuff. So definitely check it out.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
guys will provide my meetup and my Facebook thing so that people can see the different classes. And I also
Yep.
host a lot of people as well. So they come to my space or using through my Zoom to share because that's what it's all about. We're here to help
Exactly.
others in the community or maybe get out of the zone thinking everybody thinks I'm crazy. No, sweeties, you're not crazy. You're normal.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I know that's a great thing about Gail and some of us in the community is we really are about sharing each other's information and sharing
yeah,
our each other's
Yep,
classes. And I mean, because not everything's going to speak to everyone, and so that's the best way to make sure people who can access the things they want to can is
right.
by sharing each other's information. So
yeah.
True, true, true.
yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So
Thank
grateful.
you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.